Super Speedway.
Welcome to episode 288 of the Super Speedway podcast, recorded Tuesday, July 25th, 2023. I'm your host, Eric Young, and I'm joined, as always, by my co-host, James Cush. James, I just had to glance over one more time to make sure I was recording, but I'm good. I'm recording.
Well, you did say oops right before we started,
right,
so
yeah.
that always scares me. So we're good now.
I will say, I don't know if you heard Door Bumper Clear last week, but their show started out with them joking about not remembering to hit the record button too. So
they're
I think it was Door Bumper Clear. Maybe
they're just stealing our content. That's our corner. We're the ones who mess everything up before we start the show.
Oh, we are screw ups, but they are too. So
get off our corner, man. So,
there you go.
That's ours. That's ours.
Yeah. How's it going, James?
Oh man, feisty. Feeling good.
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
Yep.
You ready?
Yep.
Ready to disagree, huh?
I'm always ready to disagree, and then we end up somehow in the end we always end up agreeing. So I don't know how we're going to do tonight, but we're going to try it.
When there's Denny Hamlin controversy, we generally disagree. So
yes, I love a good.
It makes me almost sound like a Denny Hamlin fanboy, but I'm not. I'm really not. But
I get really conflicted because Denny Hamlin and Ross Chastain hate each other so much, and I don't know, like, if it's one of those the enemy of my enemy is my friend situations. Because that's kind of how I feel about Denny Hamlin most of the time.
They're so good for the sport, though, James.
Oh, I love it.
So good for the
Eric,
sport.
We do a weekly podcast. We have to have these cartoon characters out there.
Yeah.
We have to.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
So we are fresh off the highpoint.com 400 from Pocono Raceway, which I would argue may have been the best Pocono race that we've seen in probably a decade or two. Wouldn't you think, James?
Yeah, there's been a handful of good ones, but this one was up there as far as memorable from what I've seen. I think the most memorable moment in recent years was Larson blowing the tire on the last lap.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
This thing from start to finish was something. I tell you, it had so much going on.
Yeah.
It's good. I mean, the notes are longer than any other Pocono race I can remember.
I know, right? The aforementioned Denny Hamlin gets the win. But not without controversy, James. Not without controversy. We'll argue, putting his best buddy or good friend, Kyle Larson, into the wall once again. Larson gets out of the car afterwards and is probably the maddest I've ever seen Larson ever. Which was
he was like on a 2 on the 10 scale.
I was pretty dang happy. I mean, on that aspect, I want to see Larson fired up. He should be fired up.
Well, I sent you a video a little bit before this podcast of a little bit of a breakdown of how many times Denny Hamlin has taken Larson out. And I'm like, oh, that's more than I thought. Because we remember Kansas. That was a fantastic race.
Right.
Which really, I didn't go back and listen to my hot takes then. But that totally wasn't Denny. I thought that was more of a racing deal. But regardless, I don't know how I feel about this one just yet. But I'm not going to let you know just yet.
I did some research before this podcast, and I went back. And first of all, I obviously looked back at several replays from this incident. The incident where Hamlin swears up and down that they did not touch. Which is complete BS. They definitely touched.
Yeah, they did.
There was definitely contact there. Sorry, Denny. As Junior said, maybe you just didn't feel it in this next-gen car or whatever. Maybe you're not aware of what's on the right side. I don't know. I didn't listen to Denny's whole podcast, but I listened to his explanation on the podcast. And, he can't see out the right side of the car. If you've ever looked at the inside of these things, you can't see out the right side. There's no way. It's all headrest and stuff. So if he didn't feel the hit, he still thinks he didn't hit him, probably. I think he legit feels like he didn't hit him. But if you look at the replay, Denny, which I'm sure you've done at this point, you definitely made contact.
Well, it doesn't matter if he did or not, because, as Kyle Larson said, Denny Hamlin's always right. Yeah,
Denny Hamlin is always right. That being said, though, James, so I watched that over and over again. I watched the Ross Chastain, Denny Hamlin finish last year. Which the reason that Hamlin is being criticized, at least by Kyle Petty, is because it's the same thing over and over again. Same thing he did last year, which to that I'll say,
what the has Kyle Petty got to do with this?
I'm so glad you had that.
It's got to be ready, man. And I also went back and looked at the Bubba Wallace, Kyle Larson incident, and the Denny Hamlin, Chase Elliott incident, which were also very similar to this. And here's my take on it, James. I think Denny is getting too much blame for this. If you look at the replay, he says he left a lane. He left a lane. There's a lot of room up there.
Disagree with that.
There is a lot of. First of all, this is nothing like Ross Chastain.
And here we go.
This is nothing like Ross Chastain, because Ross Chastain, when Hamlin came off the turn, there was no room between Hamlin's car and the wall. Chastain had to hit the wall.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying that Larson hit the wall on his own, as Denny says, but Denny left him room there. I think the contact contributed to it, and we know the aero contributed to it, because every time you get a car side by side coming off the turn like this, the outside car pushes into the wall. So I don't disagree that Hamlin has maybe some fault, but it's also a restart with 7 laps to go at the end of the race for the win against a guy who's dominated the race.
Right.
You know, I mean, Hamlin, as he says on his podcast, he's not passing Larson clean. I mean, he's not passing Larson after this restart. He has to pass him now.
Right. And that's, I think, where we'll probably agree. I don't mind racing really hard for a win. Just don't try to BS me that you didn't hit this guy or whatever.
Yeah.
And when we can see a replay, being the experts off the couch that we are, my perspective is I don't care if Denny says he gave Larson a lane or not. What he did do is he jumped into Larson's lane while Larson was there, and basically took that lane right away from him immediately, and then continued to just kind of drive his arc around the corner. Kyle's got nowhere else to go, and long story short, puts him in the wall, right? So
okay, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Earlier in the race, Tyler Reddick wrecked Austin Dillon, right?
Well, ask Austin Dillon that question.
Well, no, seriously though, did Tyler Reddick?
No, Tyler Reddick did not wreck Austin
What's the
Dillon.
difference? If you look at Tyler Reddick's line, Tyler Reddick goes up a lane. He doesn't follow the corner. He turns deeper into the turn. I agree that Tyler Reddick did not wreck Austin Dillon. I agree that wreck was Austin Dillon's fault.
That's Austin Dillon's fault, yeah.
But I don't think this was malicious on Denny's part either.
I don't think he intentionally put him in the wall. That's not what I'm trying to argue.
I think it's a racing incident, is what I think.
Yeah, the racing for the win. Exactly. He definitely meant to jump up into his lane though, and Denny was not driving in a way where he was going to make that turn in a natural. But
I think Denny thought that they were going to come off the turn side by side and race down that straightaway. I don't think Denny thought that Larson was going to hit the wall.
I don't think he cared. I think he said, whatever the hell happens, happens.
Well, let me say this. I know they're friends, but I don't want him to care because of that.
No, I don't care about that either.
That was the thing that was annoying me, is like everybody said, well, they're friends. It's like,
well,
who gives a
about
crap?
You're
not friends on the track. Dale Earnhardt and Rusty Wallace were great friends. Terry Labonte and Dale Earnhardt were great friends. They freaking hated each other on the track.
Do you think if you and I were racing and iRacing and I wrecked you, you'd have, we wouldn't be doing, the podcast is over. We're not doing it ever again.
No. And that's what I wanted to compare this to, is like everybody says that Denny should give him slack because they're friends. But James, if you and I were racing in a turn 1 at Pocono,
I don't care if you're my friend or not.
If I was Hamlin and you were Larson, I'm giving you a harder time because we're friends.
Exactly.
I want to beat you more because we're buddies.
But then I think here's where I might get you. After the race is completely over and I'm tearing you a new one, you'd be like, yeah, so what? Where Denny Hamlin is like, oh, I didn't touch him.
Yeah.
No, I didn't touch him. No way. Didn't touch him. Where I think you would be like to me, yeah, so what?
Well,
I beat you into the corner.
No,
so what?
I'd probably apologize.
I
would probably apologize, but
see, there you go. Denny Hamlin didn't apologize.
You're right.
For sure.
You're right. And Denny was arrogant, but at the same time, when you climb out of a car and you've got a sold out Pocono crowd, the biggest crowd since 2010, booing
50.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Into the double bird.
I mean, thinking of the adrenaline that he's got pumping through him there, that big finish, like you said, 600. It gets the record or gets the 50 wins. gets the Toyota number, all that.
600, yep.
Most wins at Pocono for anybody. I mean, it's a big day for Hamlin. Of course he's going to be arrogant. But I don't know.
Doesn't matter if it's a big day for him or not. I think he's got that cornered.
I'll say again that I wish Denny didn't care about the booze. I know he does. I know he doesn't like it. But I wish he didn't care and he'd just embrace it because we need a villain.
Denny might be the one that doesn't get the as he's going into his twilight, that doesn't get the love, because he just seems to be leaning into like Kyle Busch. People like Kyle Busch now.
Yeah.
Martin Truex Jr., people like him too.
Yeah, Denny's gotten more obnoxious.
He's getting worse.
Yeah,
he's getting worse. Yeah.
So, but I don't know. I mean, Harvick was kind of like that a little bit too, but then he got quiet. I don't know. Denny still might have time to turn it around, but he's running out of time. That's for sure.
Yeah, and just to reiterate once more, like, just because I think Denny did, because I just think Denny is just BSing us, and it doesn't change the fact, like, if Larson was on the inside there and did the same thing to Hamlin, like, that's just a racing deal. It doesn't matter. It's just the way it's my red flag is basically how Denny reacted afterwards.
Yeah.
Like, just own it, man.
Did you see his social media post where he said there's lots of 11s there?
Yes, I love that. Yeah. And apparently there was a follow-up to that where they said the one guy in the orange shirt was trying to steal a Chase Elliott banner and got kicked off the property. So that was pretty good. That was great. Oh, man. Yeah, that was... And, I think, too, Denny being in that situation, like, he knows what he did to Ross a year ago.
Yeah.
Of course he's been in the situation before. I mean, it's the exact same thing.
Is Denny racing more aggressively than he has in the past? Or is this Denny? And I guess my question extends to, is this Denny knowing he's running out of time to get that title?
I think Denny is adapting to what this series is.
I
will say this. I mean, this series is definitely take no prisoners type of racing right now.
If you put anybody else in Denny's spot going into turn one, do they do anything any differently than what Denny Hamlin did?
I think some drivers do, honestly.
A couple of them do, but you know what drivers those are? Those are the drivers that don't win.
Well, and I will say
those are your Ryan Blaney's. I'm sorry, Ryan, but those are your Ryan Blaney's.
Well, and I'll give you another example. If Jeff Gordon is in that position, does that happen?
I mean, not in
Dale
Jeff,
Jarrett,
not in Jeff. But nobody raced like that back then.
Exactly. That's the point. I think the evolution of what the Cup Series is now.
Oh yeah.
This is a necessity if you want to jump out in front of a guy and get a win. Yeah, but
that's what happens when you have 30 cars on a weekend that can win,
right?
that are as good as the other one.
And also, damn it, for Kyle Larson, like, that guy ends up on the wrong end of this deal a lot, and it's conflicting for me.
Larson's not wrong. He does need to start wrecking people.
Yeah, and it's hard because I'm like, well, I'm like, you don't want to be Ross Chastain, but, like, you've got a championship, man. The way you've done it works, but maybe that's how fast this evolution has really come around since he's won his title. Like, maybe with the next gen car that we're currently in, like, it's new rules.
Yeah, I think this next gen car amped things up. Because they're all equal. It's IROC.
I mean, he gets his bell rung more than I feel like more than anyone who races up front. That dude gets wrecked or gets used up a lot.
He does.
And he doesn't race the opposite way. Like, he doesn't rough dudes up very often. I mean, there's been times though where he's been pretty aggressive.
Yeah.
I mean, like you said, he pushed up into Bubba Wallace last year and got him off of turn 4 at pretty high rate of speed. So
yeah, and I think there's a certain aspect to it, and Denny explains this on his podcast. Now, don't get me wrong, I believe about maybe 20% of what Denny says on his podcast. So just to clarify that before I say this, but Denny mentioned too that when you're side by side like that with the arrow, and I've heard other drivers say this too, not only is the outside car push, like, all the drivers know that that move is going to make that outside car push, but it also makes the inside car push too. So everybody's got to lift, and it's just a matter of how much you lift. And with 7 to go, you're not going to lift any more than you have to.
No.
You're going to lift to keep yourself out of the wall, but you're not lifting to keep the other guy out of the wall. That's not your problem. Denny Hamlin's problem is not what happens to Kyle Larson coming out of that turn. All that matters is what happens to Denny Hamlin.
Yeah. Yeah, racing etiquette nowadays is I take care of me.
Yeah.
Me is me, and everybody else can, shove off.
Let's put it this way. What's worse, what Denny did here or Denny driving into the turn behind Larson and just punting him from the back and wrecking him? He didn't wreck Larson.
The punt is always worse.
Right.
The punt's always worse. But
he didn't wreck him. He just raced him hard.
Yes. Yes, and I think too, Eric, I think there are there's fans who are really smart who watch NASCAR racing, right. And I feel like the majority of us can kind of read through Denny being Denny a little bit. Like I don't know who he's kidding, you know what I mean? Like in that sense, because I don't know, man. I just prefer the guys who own it, and I think I would have a little bit more respect for him if he would just be like, yeah, man, I did what I did. Is what it is. It's racing. It's tough racing. Don't tell me you didn't hit the guy. That's where I will always fall back to. Just don't hit the guy.
There's nothing better than a driver getting out of the car after winning a race in a shower of booze.
Oh yeah, it's great.
I mean, it's wonderful.
Kyle Busch buttered his bread on that.
That is what shows you it was a good race right there. That's what gets people to tune in every week. The guy, Jimmy Johnson winning his 7th championship doesn't get people to tune in next week.
No.
Somebody breaking Dale Earnhardt's mark in wins does not get people to tune in every week. What gets people to tune in every week is being pissed off at the guy who won.
Well, and what better example than what's going on in F1?
Yeah.
You know what it's going to take to get people to tune back in? Somebody's got to come after Max Verstappen.
Yep.
And right now, nobody's coming after him. There's no yin to his yang, It's just one singular person out there dominating.
Yep. Hence the problem with Formula One in general, usually.
Right. Well, that's usually what it is, yeah.
Jump around here a little bit. We mentioned the Austin Dillon Tyler Reddick thing. I think it sounds like we're both in agreement there. Kind of Austin Dillon wrecking himself.
Yeah, and then RC coming on the radio was really weird.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
it's not really weird.
It's not weird. RC will do that.
Very common.
The word choice was weird.
Yeah.
but still, yeah, he was fired up.
Yeah, RC he's already been egging Kyle Busch to wreck people this year. So, but we got the helmet throw. We haven't had the helmet throw since I think Tony's, right?
That last one I remember was Smokes. Yeah.
I think the helmets are more expensive now than they were back then, and they're pretty expensive then.
Well, he bounced it. He tried to get there. He short-armed it a little bit.
That's
a tough angle.
Reddick's comment on the radio was pretty good.
What did he say? I didn't hear what he said.
Well, he almost got there.
That's good. I didn't hear that. That's great.
Yeah.
That's great. I like that.
Yeah, I will say, and I know you noted this week that it was obvious that I was watching a race live. I have a 32-inch monitor here on my desk where I'm doing this podcast, and I had the monitor set up. It's a TV too. I had the race on the monitor. I had my laptop set up in front of me, and it was just like I'd be up in the press box. I had the timing and scoring on the laptop, another screen with it used to be Twitter, but now it's X with X open.
Oh, God.
Yeah, right. So following along with the whole thing. So it was really funny because on the restarts, the timing and scoring, of course, is it's only like 5 seconds behind live, whereas the TV broadcast is like 45 seconds behind live. So they'd be coming through going into turn 3 under caution, coming to the green flag, and I'd see the little green light pop up on the top of my timing and scoring, and then it would stay on for a couple seconds, and it'd go bloop back to yellow. It's like, are you kidding me? And the green flag hadn't even come out on TV yet.
Yeah, that's really good.
So yeah, lots of wrecks in this one. Joey Logano is unhappy with NASCAR crews. NASCAR's policy for towing cars back after they've got flat tires, whatever. Throws a little fit in his car. Kind of felt like Kurt Busch a little bit back in the day to me.
That was a tirade.
Yeah. Didn't really mince words in the care center afterwards, or outside of the care center afterwards. Still unhappy with the policy. Suggests yet again that NASCAR should have a truck with tires and impact guns on it, so they can go and just put new tires on the car and send it back to pit road. I have a solution, James. I have a solution that can fix Joey Logano's problems. It will fix all of NASCAR's problems with this.
Oh yeah.
Are you ready?
Yep.
2 words. Don't wreck. Don't spin out.
Sure.
I mean, I'm sorry. I get that there's no interliners in the tires anymore, but it is what it is. I mean, if you do that in Formula One, if your car can't roll, you're out. You're done.
Yep. Yeah.
I don't understand why it's such a big deal. Quit bitching and be happy with the fact that they tow you around. I mean, he admitted afterwards they didn't do any extra damage to his car.
Yeah.
So
Not a fun ride. That's
right.
For sure.
What are we bitching about?
Yeah,
Don't wreck.
I'd like to agree with that. At the same time, like if the car's not, I don't know, if the car's not completely done, I feel like the driver should be able to. I mean, NASCAR racing's always had, like you compared it to F1, right?
Yeah.
NASCAR guys have always been able to spin and come back. I
you-
know we hit the wall.
If you break a toe link,
you're done.
if you break a toe link, you can fix that, right? I mean,
Right.
it only takes 10 minutes to fix it, but they only have like 6 minutes to do it.
Right, your day is pretty much done.
So
right.
if you break a toe link, you're probably not going to be able to fix it in time to get back in the race. But
Right.
that's still a fixable car. So how is that different than blowing a tire or blowing 4 tires and you can't roll? I'm just playing devil's advocate.
I
just
know,
don't. NASCAR does not need to be in the business of changing tires on the
I don't
racetrack.
like the idea of NASCAR changing tires. And the problem is we used to have interliners where guys could handle these things and get the car back to pit road. But
Right.
I don't know if that's feasible anymore. I feel like we're almost 2 seasons in with this car, and this is something that keeps happening. You know, it's not frequent.
I was going to say, how often does it happen? It really doesn't happen that
all
much.
the time, but I feel like it shouldn't happen I don't know.
I mean, it shouldn't. Don't wreck.
It's hard to argue with don't wreck because it's like, well, yeah.
It's just like the guys that bitch about the grass tearing up splitters. Don't spin in the grass then. Stay on the racetrack.
I know. That wreck wasn't his fault either, which is also the hard pill to swallow.
Yeah, but that happens too. That's racing.
Yes, exactly. Yep.
I mean, 9 times out of 10, the guy who gets the worst of the wreck it isn't his fault.
Right. Yeah. I don't know. I get his frustration, man.
I do
because
too.
He won the stage. He was fast. Probably could have got.
I'm taking an extreme standpoint on it, but my point is that we can't be changing tires on the racetrack.
No, I agree with you. I agree with you.
You can't put it on a rollback, and that's going to take longer. You already lost 4 laps, 5 laps with this.
Yeah.
There just isn't a solution.
Yep.
And I think you either take the solution we have, which I think is fine, and you stop bitching about it, or the solution is you're done.
Well, what's going to happen is something like this is some weird situation. I always like to do the most extreme. But there's going to be a situation where we're at Phoenix and something stupid like this happens.
Yeah.
And the car is able to continue on and they can't get to pit road and they're stuck there and it gets, torn to bits or whatever from this kind of crap. And everybody's going to be like, well, what the hell, man? He was still in contention.
But again, it's the same thing. If you spin in the old car, you spin out in Talladega, you don't hit anything. You blow your tires, you got your interliners, you roll back around to pit road. Sure, you can do that, but the tire flaps around and rips the sheet metal off your car and you're done.
Yep.
It's no different.
Yeah, I understand.
So, I don't know. I guess maybe the only adjustment I could agree with to this rule is, okay, let the drivers get out of the car so they don't have to sit in the car while it's getting towed.
Yeah.
Because that's kind of silly.
Get them back home.
Otherwise, because the rule is as soon as you put the window net down, you're done.
Yeah.
So I would be all right with that, but we're not bolting tires on the track, Joey. Sorry. That's stupid.
Yeah, this is never going to happen.
That's stupid.
Yeah. And they're not pit crew guys.
Exactly. And then they do it. They don't do it right. The tire comes off as they come back. Somebody gets hurt. And it's a can of worms.
As much as I hate to agree with DBC, here I am.
I didn't listen to them this week, so I've no prior knowledge of what they discussed this week.
Okay. Well, if you get a chance.
Well, I'll be listening tomorrow. Don't worry. So before we move on to the ending of the race, I wanted to talk a couple other things too. Again, lots of wrecks in this one. Daniel Suarez kind of demonstrates the new front end on the car, getting wrecked going into turn 1. Bummer for him, obviously racing for the transfer spot in the points as well.
Yeah.
That was not good. Puts him 23 points out now from the cutoff. I think the scariest moment of the day to me was seeing just catching a glimpse of Justin Haley turning right, heading into the tunnel turn. Thank God he was okay. That was a
rough.
Crazy wreck. Yeah, wild Pocono race. Although, I mean, as wild as it was actually pretty tame on the wild front. We've seen some really big, spectacular wrecks at Pocono. So
yeah. I mean, they can hit hard there.
Yeah,
they really can do some damage there.
Nobody went flying through the air in any of the series this weekend and flipped on the front stretch. Any of that stuff like we've seen in the past. Nobody upside down.
That Scott was good. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and then we got to the finish, James.
Yeah, I was waiting for this one.
Yes, we get to the finish. Ryan Preece gets dumped. We found out afterwards because we didn't really get a good look at it. Gets dumped on the back stretch, or coming out of the tunnel turn. Coming to the white flag, NASCAR holds the caution because they want to let him race to the finish, and he just spun. He didn't hit anything. And then Preece can't get the car fired. And the caution comes out as they head to turn two. We end up finishing under yellow. Didn't get the race to the finish. Didn't get the final green-white checker. What are your thoughts on it, James? I'll let you go first on this one.
Well, I think I have a simple fix for NASCAR.
Don't wreck.
Yes, don't wreck. Hard to win when somebody when I say don't wreck. No. I was fine with everything, but if that car's not rolling before they get to the white flag, as gimmicky as this is going to sound, I think you got to throw the caution.
Yeah.
And I know I have moaned and groaned on this podcast before that cautions are for safety. And I guess it's still for safety, but that part of that is for the show. Like, we knew that car wasn't going anywhere and the race was not going to end under green. Like, I don't know. I just felt like that car that should have been called a little bit sooner. Especially when that car's not rolling, and I sympathize because I don't want to be the one up there making those decisions. But then you've got situations, again, we ask for consistency. So
exactly, that was going to be my argument.
When Kevin Harvick is wrecking at Atlanta and there's, he's got damage and there's no caution, I understand a little bit because he's rolling. But still, I don't know. Like, there's cautions that should be cautions, and then there's cautions that don't get called. And I think this was one that we probably should have dropped the flag on it a little bit sooner.
Here's my question. If this happened on lap 159.
Yes.
If this happens in lap 40, is it a caution?
I think immediately.
Yeah. So why is it not a caution on 159? Or 160, to be honest. If a car spins, it should be a caution. The problem with
NASCAR wants to get to the checkered flag,
I get it, but the problem with holding it is, as much as it feels to NASCAR like they're letting it finish naturally, they're not. Because now they're making a judgment call on when to throw that caution, and at what point they throw that caution is going to determine the winner. So that extra, 20 seconds could put somebody in the lead that wasn't in the lead before and change positions.
Yes.
If you throw the caution when the car spins, as you do the entire race, almost all the time, I say, because we don't all the time, again. If you throw it as soon as a car spins, then there's no argument against what you did. Yeah,
because Chris Bell got the caution earlier, right?
Yeah.
When he spun.
I mean, we threw a caution in Atlanta, and I think the Xfinity race, that the car didn't even spin. I mean, he just got sideways and put off a little smoke, and out comes yellow.
Yeah. I think that track type does play a little bit of a role as well.
Yeah.
Pocono's
you don't want to do it on a road course.
I know. Pocono's big and wide, and yeah, exactly. You don't want to call it on a road course. Short tracks, those are probably going to get called quicker.
If your intent is to finish under green, then you should do everything you can to finish under green, and that includes throwing a caution quickly at the end of the race.
I do. I'll say one more time. I sympathize with the tower a little bit.
I don't. Screw those guys. They don't know nothing. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, good cop, bad cop. Preece did kind of.
He was rolling, and it looked like he was going to get going.
He sputtered and stopped and started and stopped, and I thought, okay, he's rolling, and then he sputtered out again. But here's my counter to my own point there. Ryan Preece has no incentive to roll that car.
No.
he gets the caution flag, he gets to catch back up to the field.
Yep.
What's his incentive to roll? That's why I think another reason why I think you got to throw it.
Yeah.
Like, he's not going to roll, and the race is going to end under caution because he's just sitting there.
Yeah, I actually question whether the car failed to fire. I know we saw the exhaust, so he certainly tried to start it.
I think he was trying.
I don't know how hard he was trying.
Well, I don't blame him.
No, I don't either.
When I'm playing the video game, I want to catch back up to the field too.
My counter argument is that it would have changed things because we'd had another restart. But in the grand scheme of things, how it was going, if we could have finished that lap under green, it didn't change.
No, Denny Hamlin
at that point, Hamlin won.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. When Hamlin took the white flag, the race was over.
Right. I'm less upset
unless
about
he blows a tire like Larson did.
Right. I'm less upset about Pocono's incident than I am about just the lack of consistency across the board. That's where my frustration is. It just happens that it happened at Pocono to bring this discussion up, but yeah, I don't know. I just feel like, and I don't know, James, I know that they rotate people up in the booth. I know that they don't have the same race director every week, and I understand the reason that they do that, because they want it to where if somebody's sick or somebody can't be there or whatever, that there's somebody else that can step into that role. But I think it has led to a lack of consistency because the races are not called the same every week. And it's really frustrating.
We talked about this last week with Bowman, and we've had some calls that are just a little, I don't know. It's like they're in a weird spot sometimes. Like the Chicago race had a weird caution. New Hampshire had a weird caution. Like, this is a weird one. And maybe it's just a run of bad luck.
Yeah.
But I don't know how much bad luck it is if you're the ones, up there in the tower making the call. So
I think once or twice is bad luck, and once it gets to be consistently inconsistent, then it's not luck anymore.
Yeah, and you don't want to be, we've talked about this plenty of times. You don't want to be seen as manipulating the events of the race.
Problem is honestly, NASCAR could do themselves a lot of favors by just not listening to social media, because everything they do, people bitch, and they just need to do what's right. And that's something that, back in the Bill France Jr. days, we didn't have that because he didn't care.
Yep.
He had his way, and that was how it is. And it's a different sport than it was back then. You can't lead like that anymore. It wouldn't work.
Yeah.
But I think they listen too much sometimes, and they shouldn't. I want to clarify again too that, you and I, we've both sat in a tower at a racetrack, but we sat in a tower at a local racetrack that, seats, couple or 1,000 people, not to the level of a NASCAR race, not a 2-mile racetrack or a 2.5-mile racetrack, in front of millions of fans on TV and stuff. Yes. So it's a different deal, and there's a lot more people that have to make these decisions, and it's really easy for James and I to sit here and say that they're wrong.
Officiating is a thankless job.
Yeah.
Nobody ever gets it right.
Yep.
And that's, you can be a little league umpire or up in the booth in NASCAR, and it's not fair.
Yep.
It's not fair because everybody questions everything you do, and it's magnified when you're NASCAR because it's one sanctioning body making the call every single time.
Right.
And it's tough because and not all cautions are the same. We've hashed that out before. Like, all cautions are not the same. If they were worried about Ryan Preece's safety, I think they made the right call here because, there was nobody around him. They gave him an opportunity. Okay, it's not safe. Throw the caution. Right. I guess that's fine. But
they weren't worried about Ryan Preece's safety, but they should have been worried about Corey LaJoie's safety.
Yeah, Ryan Preece is a big guy. I wouldn't want to mess with that guy.
I think it's good for Corey that he had his helmet on still in his car.
Yeah, because I think Ryan was going to beat the crap out of him.
I think he tried.
Yeah, I wouldn't mess. Ryan is an intimidating looking guy.
I want to see.
I wouldn't mess with him.
I want to see Ryan Preece and Ryan Newman go at it.
There's no neck.
I know.
For either of them.
No.
It'd be like them Rock'em Sock'em
I was
robots.
just thinking Rock'em Sock'em robots. That's so funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, Preece was pissed.
Well, if they race SRX again in a couple of weeks, maybe.
Well, that's the thing. Preece's week started out bad.
Yeah, he was looking good in SRX.
Yeah.
We'll probably talk about that.
Yeah, we'll get there.
We'll get there.
It's in the notes.
Yep.
So, so obviously I'm sure everybody saw the video at this point of Preece taking some swings at and screaming at
what the bleep.
Yeah. So.
Oh man.
But so Denny Hamlin gets himself a win. Only led 9 laps in this one to win it. Whereas, let's see, it was
he's
William.
one win away, Eric, from the crown.
Yeah.
He's tied right now.
Yeah.
Most wins without a title. He's gonna pass Junior Johnson.
That's crazy. Till the end of the year when he wins it.
Well, we'll see.
What happens first? Does Denny get the title, or does he pass?
I'm always gonna lean on Denny's gonna choke it away somehow.
Yeah.
He's done it too many times.
You know who I think we need to watch out for the championship this year? If you remember this time last year, specifically this race last year, there was a guy that we were talking about a lot because he was the center of controversy. You notice leading into the playoffs this year, he's gotten really quiet.
Who's that?
He's staying out of stuff, not getting his nose dirty, sneaks a race and win in at Nashville, and then just kind of quietly sits behind.
Yeah. He's turned it. The watermelon is now a pumpkin, by the way.
He's not going to have any haters going in the playoffs this year.
Well, he's not running fast enough to rattle anybody's cage.
Clean ride all the way in, man. Ross Chastain, 2023 champion.
When you putz around between 15th and 30th every week, you kind of, stay out of trouble.
Oh, he finished 13th.
Well,
That's
okay.
He's almost a top 10.
Yeah.
No, I think Martin Truex Jr. is a guy you got to worry about right now. Third place finish for him again. Another
freaking Byron was fast. I know too. Well, strategy for Byron got him. He was off cycled, but he was fast again.
If those two aren't in the final four, I mean, it can't get any worse than Harvick missing it the one year. But those two got to be in the final four. They're so good.
Yeah, and it would if you throw Larson in there, those three, that would be a really strong 3 of 4. And I don't know who you want to throw in for the last one. Kyle Busch maybe.
Denny.
Yeah, Denny. Byron.
Denny's got to get to the final four one more time just so he can choke.
Yeah, well, yeah.
I'd love to see Harvick in his last season though.
I feel like Truex is kind of snuck in there and taken some of the momentum away from Byron, but I'm not Byron's going to be really good this week, I think.
Yeah.
We got Michigan coming up as well, so he's going to be tough. Daytona, he'll be tough again too. So, I like a couple of these guys for the championship still.
Yeah, I agree for sure. Let's see. As we mentioned, Daniel Suarez trying to get in, finishes dead last in the field, 36th. Austin Dillon also, Justin Haley, those guys 33rd, 34th. Guys that need to do well. Ryan Blaney struggles with the 30th place finish in this one. Heading out of Pocono. As you said, Denny gets his 50th victory, 635 Cup Series starts. Second victory.
15th all time.
Yeah, second victory and 9th top 10 finish in 2023. Seventh victory and 22nd top 10 finish in 34 races at Pocono Raceway. Most wins of anybody at Pocono. That's incredible.
He had one taken away a year ago.
Yeah, exactly. Ty Gibbs, highest finishing rookie with a 5th place finish. Nice sneaky 5th place finish for Ty Gibbs.
He had a moment there. He led, but he was up in the top 3 for a little bit there too.
Yeah.
He was looking pretty snazzy.
Yep.
I don't know. Ty Gibbs going to places for the second time, with a little bit of knowledge. Who knows? Maybe a good strong second half of the year coming.
Yeah, good for him.
He's on the bubble.
Martin Truex Jr. is your points leader, 30 points over William Byron as we head into Richmond.
Yep, he's gonna be tough there too.
Yes, sir.
Go ahead.
I want
to shout out Kevin Harvick really quick.
Yeah.
Man, dude, not the fastest stuff, but dang, that Roddy Childers gets that guy up there every week. Mm-hmm. He was in the hunt. It's
right there.
Yep.
We had a triple header on Saturday at Pocono Raceway. We're not going to discuss the ARCA Series. I don't have it in the notes. I know Jesse Love got the win again. But the Xfinity Series was our last race of the day on Saturday. Austin Hill sneaks himself another win in the Xfinity Series, making him continue to be a championship threat. But the race was dominated by Josh Berry, who had issues at the end of the race.
Yes, he did.
Finishes 24th on the day after getting together with his teammate, which I think was just a racing thing. I think Sam's doing what Sam's got to do, and Barry's doing what he's got to do, and they just connected, and down goes the tire, and that was the end of it for Josh Berry.
Yeah, and, they're jockeying for playoff position right now. Not going to hurt at the end of the day, but still, you'd like to. Josh Berry, I'm sure he wants to get a win on the board,
right?
But he'll be in the playoffs regardless. So
yeah. I mean, it was a good JRM day, period. But then spoiled at the end. Barry gets at the wall. Sam Mayer has contact with him. Of course, still finishes second place. One spot out of that first career win for him. And Justin Allgaier hit everything but the pace car during this race.
What's going on with him? He's having some.
Man.
He's in a weird spot right now.
It's called you were so good last year, and they changed your setup, and now you're just scrapping, trying to get something out of it.
Yeah, it's very weird.
It was a rough day for him, including on the last lap.
Yep, he got a little bit of that too, because he led some laps and had some stage points as well. He had a great day. Josh Berry, even though he finished 24th, I mean, those guys had 33 and 26 points total, so it's like they were up there all day.
Yeah,
and then just got buried at the end, unfortunately.
Yep. John Hunter Nemechek ends up 32nd with trouble in this one, but finished third in both the first two stages. Like I said, Austin Hill, man, he's the guy to watch. And then an interesting thing happened at the end of the race,
separating
James.
Himself, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Interesting thing. We got some congrats from the colleague guys for Austin Hill as he was coming in after winning the race.
Might tie into our news a little bit later.
Yeah, certainly perked some eyebrows a little bit.
Yeah.
So we'll get there in a minute. We'll discuss that. But yeah, anything else with the Xfinity race? Riley Herbst, another strong performance for him. He's right on the doorstep of getting that win in the Xfinity Series. Fourth place finish for him.
It'll happen.
Hemrick finishes fifth. Again, just colleagues just not quite as good as they were, but they're right there on the cusp. But it was the Explore the Pocono Mountains 225, sixth victory for Austin Hill. Fourth victory of the season for him. Chase Elliott was in this one. Chase Elliott gets third place finish.
Good run.
Yeah,
good
run
for him. For the HendrickCars.com 17 car.
Yeah, very cool to see that car out there.
Yep. Chase is trying, man. Trying to get something going.
Yeah, it ain't happening, though. He's not going to make it. I'm telling you. Sammy Smith was your highest finishing rookie in sixth place, and John Hunter Nemechek continues to lead the points by 13 points only now over Austin Hill in the Xfinity Series. Truck Series also in action as well. Kyle Busch
KFB
gets himself win number 100 for KBM with a last lap pass and Corey Heim for the win. Corey was not happy on the radio afterwards, but immediately after the race when he was being interviewed said, I would have done the same thing, and just heat of the moment. So,
dude, KFB took that thing into turn two like a man on a mission.
Yeah.
It was awesome.
He even said he kind of it was a little aggressive for what he wanted to do, but I thought it was a pretty clean pass. I think it was aggressive, but it's a last lap pass, man. That's what you got to do.
Yep.
And damn well Kyle wants to get that win 100. He doesn't want somebody else to get that for him. He wants to do it.
He wants it. And Toyota left KBM.
Yeah.
Went to Gilliland.
Yep.
And Kyle probably wants to get back at Toyota.
Oh yeah, doesn't hurt Kyle's feelings at all to pass a Toyota on the last lap.
And also, Kyle being the greatest Truck Series driver of all time, he wanted to make sure he had his 64th win in his career in the Truck Series to outnumber his 63 in the Cup Series. So
right.
He's got to, everything's got to be just right.
Yeah.
So the way it's got to be.
Corey Heim was really the class of the field on this day. 27 laps led. Zane Smith led 19 before being involved in an accident. Kyle Busch only led 7 on the day, and that was it, other than Nick Sanchez, who led 7 as well. So not real competitive up at the front of the field, but that happens a lot of times when Kyle Busch is in a race, but it wasn't all Kyle leading the laps. So
every race ended just spectacularly. The Cup race I know had the caution, but we had the Larson moment with Hamlin, and this was good.
Yeah, it was an all-around good Pocono weekend.
Yeah, Pocono weekend was really strong.
Like I said, biggest crowd they've had there on a Sunday since 2010.
Big camping inside, looked great. Everything looked great.
People are pissed off about the victory lane, but I think it's fine. I forget where I heard it. They were talking about it. It might have been on the teardown, but it was it was basically an old prefab parking garage that was the old victory lane, and they couldn't upgrade it anymore. They had to tear it down. So And the victory lane doesn't matter anymore, to be honest.
Well, they interview him on the track anyway.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, they don't even show it on TV hardly at all, you know. NBC does. Speaking of that,
Oh boy,
James, I am almost done. I feel bad as somebody who covers the sport for one, but as big of a fan, I haven't missed a NASCAR race in like, how many years have we been doing this podcast? I think I've only missed like 2 since we started doing this podcast in 2017.
Yeah.
And I'm about ready to stop watching the Truck Series.
Oh.
Because Fox's coverage is so damn bad. I'm sitting here trying to figure out where the other KBM truck is running, and they're only showing the top 20 in their ticker for half the race. They finally started cycling the back of it, and I could see where he was, but it's like, and then the fact that they're not there, it's really obvious that they're not there. They don't have decent spotters telling them what's going on, and it's not their fault. It's not, I mean, Adam Alexander's a great announcer. It's not his fault that he's terrible when he's not at the track. It's Fox's fault.
Right.
It's so ridiculous. I don't understand why we can't send. They're just putting no effort into this series, and it pains me that they're probably going to freaking get the contract again because I mean, they've had the Truck Series since it started.
Yep. And it's a shame.
So frustrating. It's just terrible. And you know, I have my criticism for them during the Cup season too, but they do a good job with the Cup Series, and the Xfinity Series when they have it. But they just check out on this Truck Series when it's this part of the season.
We're just gonna have to mute it and watch MRN or listen to MRN. I mean,
even that though. I mean, it's just so bad.
Yeah.
So bad.
It's not great.
Yeah.
It's not great.
64 victories and 170 Craftsman Truck Series starts for Kyle Busch. Second victory and 5th top 10 finish in 2023 for him. Taylor Gray, not who I wanted to mention. Taylor Gray, 3rd place. Highest finishing rookie on the day. Corey Heim is your points leader, 42 points over Zane Smith. Heading out of Pocono. There you go. Leave Pocono in the dust for another year. I mean, except for the people that want another race there now. Want 2 races again.
No.
No.
No. I'm just going to say no.
No track. Should get a second date.
I will always fight for 2 Daytonas, 2 Talladegas, and 2 Bristols.
2 Atlantas now. We need 2 Atlantas.
I mean, okay. That's fine. That's fine. You want to add that to the list, that's fine. But there's no reason to go to tracks more than once now.
Yeah. I mean, I do kind of think, like, if a track really overperforms, it might deserve a second date, but that number's pretty low. And I think the super speedways kind of do that, so that's why you give it to those ones. I mean, if Daytona or Talladega start stinking, then I think they lose a date. But they don't stink. They're the best races on the schedule. And
there will come a day where I will finally remember going to Michigan twice a year and how much fun that was. But lifestyle's just not that way anymore, man. One race is good.
There's too many tracks right in the wings that I want to see get races again.
Oh, Nashville's coming and North Wilkesboro.
Did you see? I know the IndyCar race was on during NASCAR stuff this weekend. Did you see what Hy-Vee has done with Iowa?
Yes, of course.
I mean,
they've been building that thing for a couple of years now. It's amazing.
If they can put the people in there that they put in for that IndyCar race, can you imagine what they could do with a Cup race?
They can. They can put a NASCAR race on there. No doubt about it.
I mean, that was a huge crowd for an IndyCar race, and NASCAR is going to draw more people.
Yes, they could do it. Iowa could do it.
I don't understand why we're not racing there.
Yeah,
I say that, and the race would probably suck. So,
we're racing on the streets of Chicago, Eric. What are you gonna do?
There you go. If NASCAR goes to Iowa, I'm going. I'll be there.
Oh, that's bold.
Well,
I like that.
I was planning on going to the Xfinity race COVID year.
COVID couldn't kill Iowa. It's pretty impressive.
Well, thanks to Hy-Vee and IndyCar and Roger Penske.
Yeah,
just waiting for Roger. As soon as Roger buys the place, then we'll know that it's never going to Cup date.
I saw some people screaming that NASCAR needs to come back to Michigan, and I just don't.
IndyCar, you mean?
Sorry, IndyCar. Jesus.
Yeah.
That IndyCar needs to come back to Michigan, and I just don't think people realize why it's not there anymore.
Yeah, but is it more dangerous than Indianapolis?
It's probably the same.
I mean, so we keep racing in Indianapolis because tradition, despite the danger, but we can't go anywhere else. I understand what happened to Dan Weldon, but that same thing can happen anywhere. And now that we've got the halo and all that, I think we're a lot safer. It's still a dangerous sport.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know.
I would love to see IndyCar at Michigan.
Me too.
I don't know if that'll ever happen.
I'm strongly considering going to Iowa for the IndyCar race, to be honest.
It's an event, man. They had Ed Sheeran out there.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's amazing.
Carrie Underwood.
Well,
I know you're a big Carrie Underwood fan.
Oh my God. Music to my ears.
How are
I
you,
like country music.
I was gonna say, how are you not a country? You got to be country guy. I know you like.
I love country music.
Why don't you like Carrie Underwood?
She screams all the time.
Oh my God.
She's talented. It's terrible.
My God, you are ridiculous.
Oh, every song is the same note for Carrie Underwood.
Oh my God.
Here I am.
You are ridiculous.
Come for me. Come for me, people. Come for me.
Ridiculous. All right, let's talk about the news before I have to fire you from this podcast.
Yeah, let's rip through it, baby. Let's go.
We got the shocking word this week that Justin Haley is leaving College Racing and moving to Rick Ware Racing at the end of the season. Before we talk about any other additions to this rumor, good move for Justin Haley?
Well, he took the guaranteed spot.
Right?
So I guess that's the right move.
Justin Haley says part of his decision is the alliance with Roush Fenway Keselowski and the improvements they're making over there as well. I mean, it's definitely a win for Rick Ware Racing, right?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, Justin Haley's not a bad driver.
Good talent to have on your roster.
Yeah. Probably the best guy that Rick Ware Racing is going to get. No, I mean, no offense to anybody, but I don't see them pulling in a bigger name than that.
No, absolutely. I mean, yeah, like Ryan Newman's out there.
Right. But Justin Haley's a better get than Ryan Newman.
Right. I mean, that's the thing. Like Ryan Newman's way past his prime.
Yeah, you got a future with Justin Haley.
Justin Haley's kind of like poor man's Eric Jones style.
Yeah.
You know, the thing that bothers me or worries me about this, like, this is great. Justin Haley sounds like he's optimistic about this, but how many teams are we going to have that think that they're going to, make it into the playoffs with some of these guys? Like,
well, that's the thing. Like, you
can always win a race, yeah, but how sustainable is so many? I mean, Trackhouse and Petty and
you got 36 charters that all think they can do it.
I know it's
in order for them to do it, somebody's got to fall out.
Yeah, I just don't know how Rick Ware is going to jump the field.
All it takes is a win, though.
Yeah.
You got Justin Haley who can race super speedways. You got 6 chances now.
Yep.
6 chances to make the playoffs. There's no requirement that you got to be anywhere in the top 30 in points or 20 in points or whatever. So all you need is a super speedway win, and you're in. So
and also, like, I guess we can get into the rumor mill a little bit. Like Spire and Andretti looks like they're gonna partner up here.
Yeah.
And Andretti's gonna come in, and they think they're gonna steal some of these spots too. Like I don't know.
Oh.
I don't know, man. I don't know. Like, where's Rick Ware? I hate it because I like Justin Haley's talent, but it's not like Kyle Busch going to RCR. This is a pretty big. I don't know. This is a pretty big downgrade for him.
Well, and so it was talked about that he was pretty well liked over at Colleague, but this certainly erases an RCR problem, in my opinion.
Yes, it does.
Which leads me back to the comment we made earlier about congrats from the Colleague guys to Austin Hill. Yep. Because here's a guy who's ready to jump to Cup with nowhere to go at RCR. What better than a shop that is literally a stone's throw away from Richard Childress Racing on the campus of Richard Childress Racing than Colleague in that 31 car? I mean, that's a perfect move for Austin Hill. I'd be shocked if Austin Hill's not in that car next year.
Yeah, I think that's where we're going.
Because the only other solution is that RCR buys another charter, which isn't happening, or Austin Dillon retires, which isn't happening. Right.
Right.
So, I mean, I don't know. Austin Dillon doesn't have a helmet anymore, so maybe.
Yeah, maybe there's room.
Yeah. So, but yeah. So, yeah, it's interesting, very interesting. So
yeah, it's there's a lot going on right now. I was surprised by this one, but yeah, silly season's got to start moving here.
Well, like, and it's a more active silly season than we thought it was going to be, too.
Yeah, I mean, we got Truex possibly leaving, like, Yeah. There's a lot going on here.
Yes, there is. Speaking of silly, Shane Van Gisbergen's coming back, James.
Oh, this really ticks me off. You know why?
Because I can pick him.
Exactly.
He's already changing my strategy this week, just so you know.
I know you had all your picks figured out.
I had all my picks figured out, but now
Now I'm not going to be able to pick SVG.
No.
I almost want to tank a couple of races to make sure that I can pick him.
yeah.
He's not going to win again, right?
You wouldn't think, but I didn't think he'd do it the first time.
Well, yeah.
I mean,
it's gonna be
nobody's going to
interesting.
give him any breaks because they're going to know what he's capable of.
Yeah,
And it's a
there's no
different.
secrets.
I mean, it's a different duck. This is a track that the Cup guys have raced on.
yes.
You know, and it's not. He doesn't have as much of an advantage here as he does elsewhere, but he's still a great road course racer.
Yep.
He's one of the best ever in V8 supercars, and he's coming over here and racing a car that was built after the V8
And
supercars. So.
And it sounds like he's coming NASCAR racing next year.
Yeah, that was the next
for
thing
sure.
I was going to discuss.
Yeah.
Is
So
that
he's he's got to start making his moves. Like Project 91 wasn't going to race from the sounds of it. But
yeah.
Now, now they got to race. You got a guy who can win. it's crazy.
It'd be very interesting where he ends up. Does he? I mean, does Trackhouse get a? I don't think there's a charter to be bought. Is there?
No.
They
No,
can't
the
run him
only thing-
uncharted. He's not going to leave V8 supercars to run uncharted.
No, but I think he would probably spend a year in Xfinity Series to get some oval
You
track
already won a
experience.
Cup race, and you're gonna go to Xfinity, huh?
Well, like Trevor Bayne won the Daytona 500. Was he Cup ready? You know.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
Your
It's got to
boy.
be easier to drive in a circle than it does to turn left and right, right?
Yeah, well, Shane Van Gisbergen, SVG, however you say it, he's the best there ever was.
Yeah, right.
So,
I mean, he made Marcus
Undefeated.
Ambrose look silly. Look how long it took Marcus Ambrose to win in the.
no,
in
never
NASCAR.
lost. Juan Pablo Montoya didn't win like that.
Yeah. I don't know. Speaking of Indy, they're doing a Goodyear tire test after the Indy race on the oval. James,
Ah, yes.
no chance we're racing the road course next year, right?
No, we're done.
Yeah, I think so.
We're done. We're done.
I think so.
Oval track racing's been too good. The 400 is back, baby, and I'm
Yes.
excited.
Yeah, I hope. Does it get the Brickyard 400 name back?
It better.
I hope so.
Just bring it back. I know it was a dud in its time, but it can be saved.
Yeah.
It can be saved.
Yep. It should have never gone away. I don't think it was that big of a dud. I think people were overly critical of it.
Well, the Goodyear thing was
Well, yeah, but that was
I know.
Forever
you're
ago.
You're not telling me anything I don't know because I agree with you. But
I don't know.
fans hold. Hey, Eric, do NASCAR fans hold grudges? 'Cause-
Right. Yeah. Yeah. On that note, James, any other news that we missed before we start talking SRX?
No, I'm checking X and I didn't see anything. So
Nothing on X. Okay.
nothing
Good.
on X.
Good. SRX then. Speaking of X.
Good transition.
Yeah. Ryan Newman saves his stuff at Stafford number 2. Gets himself the win. Holy breaks, Batman. This was
Dude, there were some big old wrecks last week.
there was some attrition. Tony Kanaan hit the wall harder than I think anybody's hit the wall at Stafford.
Yep. Brad backed it in hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, there were some big hits. I was surprised. Definitely surprised.
Yeah, they had so apparently there was a meeting before the race started in the drivers' meeting where they emphasized the need to not tear the cars up in heat races, which one then was immediately followed by Greg Biffle backing into the wall and having to go to a backup car.
Yeah, they had some work to do.
Yeah.
All I keep hoping for is that Tony Stewart's saving his stuff for the later in the season,
Yeah, I
but
don't
he's
know.
getting pretty far behind in points now.
Yeah, I couldn't tell you because I don't see the point. So
Yeah,
know
Toby
if
Christie, TobyChristie.com has him. Basically, it's Ryan Newman and everybody else.
right,
So,
right.
Paul Tracy was up there though for a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah. It was nice to see no weather affecting this race weekend. I mean, it was another good SRX performance. I thought the racing was good. How about having DW back in the booth? That was awesome.
DW was great. DW was fantastic. Ryan Preece out there, he was a threat.
Priest was definitely a threat. He was scary and then just used his stuff up.
Lost his stuff. Yep, used his stuff up. Yep.
I thought we got a peek behind the curtain though, James.
Of who?
What did you hear when they were checking in on Priest's radio and he said something like, "I'm not trying to pull away" or something like that?
Oh, I didn't hear that.
He made a comment and it's like, oh, is it a
Was he
peek behind
talking-
the curtain? Is he saying that he's sandbagging so he doesn't make the race?
He
look
definitely
bad?
wasn't sandbagging that much. 'Cause
No,
he used up
well,
everything.
that's when the brakes went out and he had trouble. It's like, no, okay, never mind. I must have misheard.
Yeah, probably talking about trying to save their stuff.
Yeah,
if anything.
I think
yeah,
so,
they
too.
really used up everything out there.
Yeah,
I mean, like Tony didn't break, but he said after the race like he got extremely tight, and it's just I think the racing at that speed, I guess 2 weeks in a row was pretty tough on those cars. So
Yeah, hopefully they can put them all back together for Motor Mile this
Motor
week.
Mile's gonna be fun. Yep, that should be a good one.
Um,
And then Eric, we didn't talk about this on the pod last week, but you're going to Berlin.
Yeah. So,
I mean,
hopefully so are you.
Well, yeah, but not just as with a ticket.
Yeah, we got our credentials to Berlin, guys. So we will be credentialed media at Berlin Raceway.
Hanging out with Kevin Harvick, Kyle Busch, Casey Kane.
Yeah, good stuff.
Daytona or Indy 500 champ Elio Castroneves.
Yep, good stuff. I'll be taking photos down there, so we'll have photos up on the site that evening. And then hopefully heading to Michigan. I haven't gotten approved for credentials at Michigan yet, but hopefully that'll be happening as well.
Yep. I'm working on my schedule, people. I'll let you know next week what I'm doing.
Hopefully James is at SRX.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a big week for me because I got SRX Thursday, then Michigan Saturday and Sunday, and then I'll be back to Berlin for the Battle at Berlin 250 the following Wednesday.
Oh my God, yeah, that's right.
So,
hanging out with Chase and Eric Jones and
man, everybody's racing.
William
that
Byron
race.
will be there. Yep.
Yeah, that's gonna be a big race.
Carson Hocevar, he'll be there.
Yep. So gonna be pretty cool.
Yeah, that's cool.
I wanted to revisit DW because, we kind of talked about when he was still on Fox, it was time for him to move on and whatever. As much as DW started to wear on our nerves on Fox, I think part of it was Fox more so than DW. The guy's a legend and he's so good, and it was just so nice to hear his voice, have him in the booth. Working with Alan Bestrick. First time ever he's worked with Alan Bestrick.
Yep, and he boogie'd for us.
Yeah, he boogie'd for us, and it was, it just, to have those two guys together was pretty cool.
Yeah.
I still think that probably the second best thing about SRX, short from the racing itself, is the fact that Alan Bestwick is the announcer.
Yeah, you could roll two pencils down a hill, and Alan Bestwick could call that thing.
It reminds me of during COVID when the MRN guys were calling dogs racing around the swimming pool on Twitter.
Yeah, that Bagman. Yeah.
It's the same sort of thing, man.
He just got such a calming presence.
He does.
Yeah,
he does. And I really like, James, that this year with ESPN, they've kind of toned down the gimmicky stuff with the broadcast.
They did, yeah.
So we don't have the stupid graphics and stuff that, all the 3D stuff and
no features this year. They're really focusing on the live product.
No fake fireworks in the infield after the race is over. All that stuff. We got rid of all of that. It's just the racing. There's nothing better than that intro and hearing Bob Jenkins' voice and seeing the old Tony Stewart clips. It's just so, I'm getting chills right now just talking about it.
Yeah, Bob Jenkins, man. Yeah, that's
good
and
stuff.
It's the second most watched live product on ESPN last week was
That's
SRX
awesome.
behind Pardon the Interruption. That's pretty good. That's pretty good stuff. There's not a lot going on the, it's the perfect time to have SRX though, because you've got, baseball and that's pretty much it. But it's so strange to me because I load up the ESPN app and I see this thing that I love on there, and it's like, dang, yeah, this is kind of cool. Like, it's so, it feels like it's so niche and cliche, but it's pretty neat to see SRX on there. Yeah,
very cool. So we head to Motor Mile this week, race round number 3, first round on a new track after 2 weeks of Stafford. Elio Castroneves joins us this week. Joseph Newgarden, fresh off of dominating the IndyCar weekend. He's going to be in the SRX car. Kyle Busch will make his SRX debut, and Clint Boyer is back with us this week at Motor Mile as well. So along with our regulars that run the full season, but those 4 will be our special guests this week.
Yes. I have a prediction that none of the regulars outside, we have Ryan Newman who's already won, but I'm looking at the schedule and I'm like, man, the regulars are going to struggle to win until we get to Eldora at this point, because Kyle's coming in.
Yeah, you think Kyle's going to come in and clean up?
He's going to come in and he's not going to be bad.
You think I think he's going to be really good.
Yeah, he loves late model racing, so I feel like this is some sort of a form of late model racing with a little bit more horsepower in it. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what he does. He'll be tough at Berlin, especially when you get Kyle in a second time. He'll be tough at Berlin. So.
Yeah, and he's got experience at Berlin too. He's raced at Berlin. I don't know if he's raced at Motor Mile. I'm assuming he has, but I know he's raced at Berlin. He's won at Berlin.
Yep.
So there you go. 9:00 on Thursday night from Motor Mile. So
a lot of fun.
We'll be watching, and then we'll be there the following week at Berlin. So very excited about that. Let's move on to our picks. We're going to Richmond Raceway this weekend. And just looking at last week, James, you managed to get yourself another win That Ty Gibbs pick looked pretty darn good.
I'll take it,
36
man.
points over my Alex
needed
Bowman.
one.
Bowman was doing good until he got wrecked.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he was looking good.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was looking good. But yeah, Ty Gibbs was. I needed a good race, and that I'll take that. 36 out of Ty Gibbs.
So you are 116 points ahead of me. Gained a little bit again. So back over that century mark. But thanks to Shane Van Gisbergen coming back, I'm able to shake up my picks a little bit. And I was originally going to pick Chase Briscoe for this race for no other reason than he was pretty much the best option I had left. But now I'm going to go with the guy who I think finished third here in the last race at Richmond. I'm going Ross Chastain.
The pumpkin.
Ross Chastain, yes, is my pick.
All right, so put the pumpkin in there, and then, because we've got, we've also got the playoffs coming up, so we get to reuse some of these guys, right? So
yes,
William Byron, I'll finally use William Byron.
Finally using Byron, huh?
Yeah, I'm looking ahead, and I'm like, well, I've got Byron to use, I've got Logano still in here. We got a couple of races coming in, so yeah, I'm gonna pull my Byron card here.
Of course, you had to pick him.
Yep. So there you go. There. I think we're both editing the sheet at the same time,
Probably.
which is fun. Seeing if I can beat you.
Yeah, I'll just let you have
it. Give up, man. I'm on it.
Yeah, you're on it.
Oh man, that's good.
So while you're making those edits, how about you pull up the fantasy and tell us how that went? I know you're going to be excited about fantasy this week.
Well, yeah. Well, let's just put it this way. Even when I win, I lose.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
You only gained 1 point, right? Wasn't it 1 point?
Yeah, everybody else lost to Barron Speedway, which is acceptable. I beat him by 1 point, so I got the win this week. I want to double check who was third because I want to make sure. I got to pull this up.
The
really
more
quick.
I pay attention to my picks and put effort into picking the right people, the worse I do.
That's so funny, man. Yeah, I was sitting really pretty. I had Larson. I had all those guys in the top, and then Larson fell. But I'll take it, man. I've had a little. I've been stuck in in the middle of the field, so I'll take one when I can get one. So 1 point win over Barron. That doesn't help me really in the long run. So he was second, and then Ranger was third, 3-time champ. Eric, you were
like 11th, wasn't it?
Woo, 12th.
12th. Yeah, I knew it was bad.
Oh, rough. That was a rough day.
I was doing better than that, but it didn't go the right way.
Oh yeah, overall standings, Barron Speedway, yes, he lost ground. He is 1 point worse than I was leading in last week. But he's in the lead, still the only person in the 4,000 club, 4,253, and then we're about to join him, Tandem Draftona and myself. I am 1 point behind Tandem, so coming for the silver medal again. That seems to be where I like to stay. And then Ranger, not too far behind. He's at 39.09. So things are shaking up a little bit. Mickey Elliott's kind of falling back. Green Eggs and Hamlin's hanging around. And then Eric, you're 7th. So there you go. Fantasy update.
There you go. What the hell do we got? Shout outs right now. Any shout outs, James, this week?
I had, kind of a shout out. So, more of like a not life advice, but like this kind of a cool thing. So there's this fun little game, kind of like Wordle, but it's for sports, and it's called Immaculate Grid. Have you heard of Immaculate Grid yet?
Mm-mm.
Okay, so it started with baseball, and it's like you get 9 squares and a bunch of you get 9 guesses and 9 squares, and then you get a bunch of clues, and you got to fill in these squares of who the baseball players are, if they played for multiple teams or they had sort of these records. And I've been playing the basketball version, which has been a lot of fun, which got me to thinking I wanted to come on the podcast and say if anybody's really good at coding and can make us an auto racing Immaculate Grid, I would be very grateful because I want to keep playing these grids, but there's only a handful that I'm actually, knowledgeable about. So they're a lot of fun. Eric, there's a hockey one.
Nice.
I think you should try. It's called Crossover Grid, and it's got NHL on it. It's like they're just kind of fun games. You play once a day, and you get your guesses in there, and it's just like Wordle, kind of that kind of structure, but you're just guessing hockey players or basketball players or whatever. So, but I want the auto racing one because I know we'd crush that.
Nice.
Yes.
I like it.
Pretty fun.
I like it. I don't believe I have any shout outs this week. I felt like I did, but I can't think of one. So I'm going to pass.
Oh, there you go. Okay. All right.
How about Black Flags? Got any Black Flags this week, James?
Oh, boy, do I. I got 3-month free trial of SiriusXM.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so I flipped it on this morning for the first time. And what's your over-under on how many minutes of NASCAR radio I listened to this morning?
It's not much.
Oh, boy. It was probably less than 30 seconds. There was somebody who called in. I got extremely frustrated. And I said, I don't need this in my life. And I turned it off. I'm like, I don't need that frustration. Oh, my gosh. Sometimes the callers, man, I always forget. Whenever I get XM back, I forget. I forget what it's like.
That's like, I get frustrated with Dave Moody and the way he treats people sometimes.
Yes.
But he just, I don't know how he stays sane.
He's like an angry dad.
But he has to deal with those callers all the time.
It's so bad.
Yeah.
It would be better if they just did a podcast on XM, but I guess the callers have their purpose.
Right.
So I used to listen to that so much, and I think, what was I doing back then? I was listening to NASCAR radio all the time.
I listen to podcasts, and then sometimes toward the end of the week, I'll flip on NASCAR radio, or like when we take our big trips, to one of the races, I'll usually listen to it a good chunk of the race there.
Well, we listened to it when we went to Eldora way back in the day too.
Yep.
And I don't come at me. I know it's ironic that me sitting on this podcast and giving NASCAR radio crap I know what that sounds like and looks like.
James knows he's a hypocrite. You don't need to.
I know what that sounds like, and yes, I know. I know what I am.
You don't need to tell him. He knows.
Exactly. I know. I have self-awareness. I'm good. Thank you.
Any other black flags for you?
No, that was the only one.
I got a couple. I will start with whoever the idiots were that were throwing stuff on the track after Hamlin's win on Sunday. I will always tell or call those people idiots. They will always get my black flag. Just ridiculous. Don't throw stuff on the track. You can boo. You can give the middle finger. You can do whatever.
Jeff Gordon award.
Yeah, let's not throw stuff on the track. You're gonna hurt somebody, and it's stupid. I'm trying to think. There was one other one that I wanted to give. The last one I will give is my buddy Sean Corr. You remember who Sean Corr is, James?
That sounds familiar.
He's earned this award. He's earned a black flag from me already this season. He is an ARCA Series driver. He races in the ARCA Menard Series part-time, driving the number 8 car. And this weekend at Pocono, he didn't spin out on his own this time, which previously the reason he got it was because he spun, I think, like 3 times on his own at Vegas. I've seen him spin on his own at other tracks as well. This time he got help spinning off turn 3 at Pocono during the ARCA race. But what he gets the black flag for is not the spin. It's the fact that he didn't lock the brakes down when he was done spinning, rolled forward, and just about got wrecked driver's side from 2 cars that were speeding by. Could have been a terrible wreck. This guy, I get it. It's a place to learn, man. Series. But Sean needs to get his stuff together. He's going to get hurt or he's going to hurt somebody in the series. And I hate to pick on somebody here, especially because there's probably other guys in the series that deserve to be picked on too. But man, it was scary incident.
Yeah, it's ARCA, man. ARCA's always scary on the big tracks. Any big track they go to.
Yeah, it is. And Pocono is scary in itself. So, yeah, I can't think of what the other one was. It wasn't anything majorly important, but there was one other one I wanted to throw out there. But well, I'll remember it another time. So
save it for next week, man. We can always use them.
Yeah. James, where can people find you on social media if they want to hit you up during the week? Did I lose you?
At James Cush on X.
There he is.
Nope, I'm here.
Okay. How about Threads?
There's a delay probably. At James Cush on X. Okay. There you go.
All right.
Threads, yes.
Yeah, there's definitely a delay right now. I don't know how that happens. It's just all of a sudden there's a giant delay. Like it's huge right now.
Yep.
You can find me on Threads at eyoungdbm. You can find me on X at tsuperspeedway. Facebook is facebook.com/thesuperspeedway. Our website is thesuperspeedway.com. You can find the podcast on there. You'll be able to find pictures from SRX and probably some coverage in Michigan, hopefully coming up as well. You can find the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Play, and Anchor. Subscribe wherever you heard us today for new episodes each week. And if you go to anchor.fm/thesuperspeedway, you can leave us an audio message and we might just play it on the show. Heading to Richmond Raceway this weekend. We head to Michigan after that. We will be back next week to break down Richmond, talk about and preview SRX at Berlin and preview the NASCAR race at Michigan. Until then, everybody, let's go racing.